ever since I've arrived here, there are like certain things that brought me back to the reason why I came to here. Like to begin with, I was too distracted with that I made a mistake and self-loathing and like self-blame and all that stuff because of what happened. Losing the relationship slash relationships. Yeah, these things really got to me like big time, and I'm storing the focus back on the things that did matter before any of that, any of those relationships. The relationship by itself took a hold of me, took a hold of me. What do I mean by that? I'll get to that in a minute. So we're just gonna sit at a well here. It's a good way of looking at things and reflect. So what actually happened is that I completely forgot what I had worked towards in all those years, and now I came to full realization like, hey, it was about me escaping the rat race, for example. Yeah, that's like one of the reasons. Me escaping the rat race, the whole taxes thing as well. There's so many reasons, and I want to just sum them up, just so people can understand my reason and motivation of leaving. So, first and foremost is the rat race, the 9 to 5, working and not being able to own anything or have anything, and whatever you might own or have, it becomes less and less, and it's just a matter of time before you don't have anything at all, and the things you have or own, they're disposable, they don't last. And that puts you in this cycle, of eternal consumerism, worrying, not having really any type of a future, no future, positive future outlook. You're just going in those circles, just working to give away half of your money, and then another part of that money goes to expenses, and then whatever you're left with, either you've got to save for a moment in time that you have to pay more taxes, or there are more bills or issues you got to be dealing with. So you're basically saving for no reason, and whatever you can save, you'll have to give up at some point. And even if you're able to treat yourself or buy something, or do something for yourself, it's always gonna be at the minimum, and you always have to look for the cheapest of the cheapest of the cheapest if you want to continue living that lifestyle, because everything goes up in price on a yearly basis, so it's kind of pointless. Then talking about the soul sucking type of work environmentality. I used to work a blue collar job for 15 years, and it's not the job itself that I had issues with, but it's more people and the mentality and how you get treated. And these are things that no amount of money in the world can pay you to feel like, okay, that was worthy of my time. And that's very clear. But yeah, they don't. Nobody cared at the end of the day. You're just there to do your job, and then you just leave with a paycheck. But it, year after year after year, you start feeling the drag, and you just feel like you can't do it anymore. And that's how I felt. Like I was so tired. So I was looking for other things. Like, okay, if I can't own a home or property or land in the country I was born in, because it's impossible unless you get a loan, but then they're not likely to give a loan if you don't have enough financial stability. So you have to be a couple. There are many things you need to do. Your parents have to be a backup, or you have to be a couple, and then these things are easier. But it's basically just pointless. You're never gonna get there by yourself. That's the point. So forget owning a house, property, or whatever. It's just it doesn't work like that anymore. It used to in the 50s, but not anymore. And I was like, yeah, there must be other countries where you can buy properties for 1/10, 1/8, 1/5 of the price. And I did find countries. And I was like, hey, if I can own a property there, then I can also be a homeowner. I don't have to wait or fantasize or just accept that, live with that defeatist mentality. And I don't want to be involved, making institutes and banks richer or anything of that sort. I'm against these things. If you don't have the money in your hand or in your pocket and you can't buy it, you can't afford it, then you don't do it. You don't loan money. You don't do those shady deals with these high interest rates. I just don't believe that. You're just making these institutes richer, and you're just putting yourself in a very dangerous situation, because you never know what's going to happen within those 20 years of down payments, right? And or even if you're with a partner, you never know, they might get sick. Seen so many stories, and it never ends well. Yeah, like only the only thing people talk about are the positive ones, but never the negative ones. So that says a lot about society too. Also, I wanted to become a digital nomad. You know, I wanted to live and work at home, and then be able to make money and then make content and combine all these things that I like doing, but remotely. And the only possibility I had was, yeah, moving abroad and starting over. So these things also pushed me into that direction, because I didn't have that opportunity in the country that I was born in, you know. So I saw this as a golden opportunity for me, kind of a win-win, depending on, you know, what my initial goal was. And besides that, also, it's not just the money thing, you know, and then working from home and that having that option. It's also escaping the whole rent cycle, the vicious cycle of renting, you know. Like, I've been doing that ever since I turned 19, and finally at 35 I was able to escape it. Literally on my birthday, you know, like shortly after my birthday. So that's almost like 20 years, you know, if you want to round it off, 20 years of renting. In those 20 years, you paid off someone's property, and they're the homeowner now because they used you. And these things I'm against. I don't think that's fair. That shouldn't be like that. Definitely if you don't get anything in return. And yeah, that just bothered me like big time, living with that thought in my mind. And, you know, reflecting on it, like even my ex said that, you know, like, you know, it's never going to be possible for me to own a property by myself. And so she also accepted that fate, but that's not what I wanted to do. That's not how I see things. That's not how I want to look at life. There are options, there are possibilities, but you got to step out of your comfort zone. And, you know, that's what I did, basically. That's what I did. And that's the beauty of it. There are opportunities and there are possibilities, but you got to see them and you got to seize them. And even if things don't work out as you planned in your mind, at least, you know, at this point, I'm not paying any rent, so I'm rent free. I'm debt free. I don't have any major expenses besides the essentials, what are very low in price, very affordable, and everything, you know, living quality, food quality, air quality, you know, social quality, like everything here is like maxed out, you know, like it's way better than I could have ever imagined, even in a better location in the country that I was born in, you know. Like, so I really weighed out the options, and some things were more mentally, some things were more you know, fear driven, I guess, more desperation, and other things were just determination and seeing a future that would last, and I can hold down, you know. But the sad part is that you win some, you lose some. One you go into one door, the other door closes. You can't have everything. You know, luck is gonna run out at some point. So yeah, you have to make some sacrifices at some point, and that's what happened. You know, I lost a lot of things that you can say provided me safety, security, comfort, happiness, anything you can think of. You know, that is essential to you know, human nature, you know, like things that we all kind of require and need and strive for. These things got sacrificed, not because I wanted to sacrifice it, but it just happened because of the choices I made. And that's the only thing that still bothers me. But then I start thinking about all the things that I have now. I don't have to worry about high taxes and losing 50% of my income. I don't have to worry about crazy food prices and buy cheap stuff that basically has zero value. Even if you buy more expensive stuff, it equals to zero value, nutritional value. I don't have to be worried about, you know, the pollution and how it affects, you know, my skin and my overall health, mental health, physical health, all that stuff. And yeah, ever since I've been here, I mean, okay, maybe not the past couple of days, but in general, I felt more energized, positive, you know, yeah, just, you know, content with life in general. You know, I don't feel any pressure, no stress, no strain. The only things that caught me off guard were just the surprise things concerning the property that needed to be tended to, and I didn't expect that. You know, like that's just something that went beyond me. But think about it: if I haven't been here, nobody has lived here for 5 years, and I haven't been here for 2 years, and probably in total the property has been abandoned for 8 to 10 years. Then Yeah, these things are expected, can be expected, right? Time, time doesn't just wait and let things remain in the original state it was built. Like, there's gonna be things that are gonna happen, and if you don't tend to it, it's gonna get worse. And if you tend to it, you can prolong it. But it's also part of life, If it's not a house, it's a human body. If it's a not human body, it's a car. If it's not a car, it's anything you can think of that gets built up that will be broken down. So it's also part of the cycle. And like I said, for me personally, I since today, since almost a month and a half by now, I've been really shifting my focus from, okay, what did I lose, what did I sacrifice, what is making me hurt and unhappy right now, and I made a mistake and I made the wrong choices and all that stuff, to okay, what do I have now? I don't have to pay rent, I'm not in the rat race anymore, I don't have to worry about high taxes. Everything that I can consume or I can purchase is high value, in the sense of daily needs and necessities. And yeah, there is no over consumerism, there is no materialism, there's no excessive luxury. So all these things aren't present. And like, yeah, there are things that I need, quote unquote, or essential to me, but it's not that it bothers me that I don't have instant access to all these things, like instant dopamine hits. Like, yeah, there are no fast food places, but do I need them? No, of course not. There are no like cheap stores that actually are based on AliExpress or Temu quality nearby. Is that an issue? Not really. Um, Same goes for clothing stores. Like, do I need like an excessive amounts of clothes to be satisfied with life? No, I don't. Like, I've got what I need, and I can wear them for years to come. And if I need to change my wardrobe, I can do that anytime. Online. And yeah, different. It's a slower life, slower pace, different mentality, different outlook, different priorities. I mean, here, if you have a house, you're good. That's the mentality. And if you have work, you're good. And like I said, also one of the positive side notes I want to add is the biodiversity is very high here. You've got the plants, you've got the insects, and you've got the fruit, and you've got the birds and other wild animals, and all these things combined scream out that it's healthy living here. Because all these things I don't remember seeing where I used to live, like, unless you go into the forest, but you know what I mean, like, not in the parts of the city or the village. Everything is so sterile and basically dead. There is nothing. Or you see stuff, but it's a bare minimum, and that's not a good sign. You need biodiversity because we're also part of that connection. Otherwise, you can't live as a human being. So you should be grateful that there are insects, there are bees, there are plants, there are flowers, there are fruit, there is soil, and there is all these things combined just screams out, healthy and future and potential, and cherish it and protect it and nurture it. And that's the thing. So I've been just thinking about the opposite since today and trying to focus on the things that I can do now, in the sense of self-improvement and self-management and self-realization, like in the sense of the role. And yeah, I lost the relationship that meant the most to me. I lost opportunities if it came to other relationships. I lost the job security. I lost the financial security. I lost a lot of things that were just there for grabbing. Like, just didn't even have to think about it. But yeah, you win some, you lose some. And all I can do is just accept it and focus more on the things that I have instead of the things that I don't have.